Hello and thanks for joining. So just recently I did a review of a Jouef steam locomotive. I'll put a link to it at the end of this video. I was really impressed with that locomotive. I normally think that Jouef stuff isn't that great and it's going to be a lot of problems, but that steam locomotive turned out to be pretty good. And recently I got the opportunity to buy these 7 Jouef wagons. They're all different and they're all advertising different products, but I thought they might be quite interesting to have a look at, and they would go perhaps with that steam locomotive as well, make a nice looking train. So we're going to open them up, have a look at each one in turn in this video, and I'll show you what they're like. So these are all in their original boxes, which is pretty cool. They fared pretty well as well, even though they're actually quite old. I'm not exactly sure when these models came out. If you do know, put it in the comments, I'd love to know. You can see though that this one here, 6266, seems to have got faded a little bit. Possibly it's been in the sun or something. But apart from that, all these boxes are in pretty good condition. They each have a picture of the wagon on the end of them here, and you can see that there's different brands that we're going to have a look at. I thought we'd take this one first. It's just randomly taken off the top. And this one, it says it's a Heineken beer wagon and it's number 6270. All these boxes are the same. They have a cardboard sleeve and a polystyrene inner tray. And the model's held quite securely in that polystyrene tray. So let's get this out and we'll have a look. So obviously here you can see that this is a Heineken beer wagon. It's very brightly coloured in the green and white with the large logo down the whole length of the wagon. It's modelled on a cool wagon. I don't think this is actually prototypical though. It's a bit basic in terms of the detail on it. And one of the things I think that stands out very noticeably on this is the fuzziness between the green and the white all the way along the side of the wagon here. And one of the other things that's really bad is the printing. You can see the Heineken logo is off center, especially on the one at the back here. And also the Heineken writing here is also quite blurry and not being printed that well either. So it's obviously been done to quite a budget, I think, on this wagon. The other side fares no better. You can see that the Heineken logo again at the back, you can see that the writing is almost completely off there. And it's not lined on this one here. So I don't know what the hell was happening with the printing on this wagon, but it's gone all over the shop. Underneath this wagon is a good representation of brake gear and bracing, and the wheels are very free running. This one is actually very clean as well. I'm quite impressed with that. There doesn't seem to be any brake gear near to these wheels either, but you get a fairly good representation of springs and various bits of the suspension there. Hopefully you can see on the video that there are some words and numbers actually moulded into the chassis as well, which is a nice little addition. The couplings are attached with these screws, so you can change them if you want, and they're old-fashioned metal ones. They're quite big as well, but you know, they has an opportunity there to change if you want to. And at the top is just a basic roof with a vent in the middle. But what's quite noticeable here is no moulding marks on this piece of plastic for the main body or the chassis. So what I think lets this model down is just the lack of detail, the lack of definition around the door and the printing. Let's have a look at one of the other wagons. So this is the next one. I just picked at random. It's number 6265, and you can see that this is a Coca-Cola wagon, and it's a really nice bright one, and the printing on this is actually quite a lot better than the Heineken one. It looks very clear here. Obviously we've moulded in red plastic, and it has a silver painted roof as well. The edges of the roof and the body are actually quite crisp here, so this one is actually looking a little bit better than the Heineken one. And there's also some nice details down the side here. This was on the Heineken one, but it was a bit fuzzy, but you can see it a bit clearer here in this Coca-Cola one. It's exactly the same model as the first one, it just has a different brand, and I think we'll probably notice that with all the rest of the wagons. But for me, this is much better than the Heineken one, and also because it's Coca-Cola, it's probably quite collectible as well. So let's have a look at the next one. Okay, picked at random, this is the next one here. It's the Evian water one, and this is number 6263. So again, this printing is very clear on the side of the wagon. This one's moulded in silver, obviously, and it has a silver roof, so there's no additional painting. But it does have the logo very large on the side of this wagon, and it does look very eye-catching. The silver is very nicely presented. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, this one is AGFA. I thought that was actually film for a camera, I'm not quite sure. Anyway, this is number 6267. It doesn't really seem to go with the others, it all seem to be drinks. But still, this is quite an interesting wagon because it's bright orange with a silver roof that's been painted on, and the logos here and other details down the side. This one is suffering a little bit. You can see here there's a bit of overspill on the printing, so it's more like the Heineken one than the other two we've just seen. Quite an interesting colour. It's almost tangerine orange, but it's a bit of a plain logo and design on this one. Let's get the next one out. Okay, now we have a Findus wagon here, which is number 6266. It's obviously got the Findus logo here and some other writing down here. It's very similar to all the rest. This one has a silver roof. You can see it's a little bit dirty as well. So it's not fared as well as the other ones in terms of cleanliness, that's for sure. And here we have a bit of a chip in the roof as well. So this one has been well loved in the past. It could probably do with a bit of a clean up, but it's not too bad overall. It is a bit dull though compared to some of the ones we've already seen. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, next we have this Carlsberg wagon. It's number 6268. And this is a bit more detailed in terms of the printing on the side because you've got this green bar with a black around it. And you've got some other details here, including the Denmark there. So it's trying to pretend to be a Danish wagon rather than French like all the rest. It's this off-white cream colour this time with the silver painted roof. The silver's been very nicely applied to the roof and the logo is pretty good as well. There doesn't seem to be much fuzziness here, but there is a bit of problems on the green bar. It's not solid and it fades out at the top a little bit. And it's very difficult to see the writing that's on top of the green as well. Okay, we're on to our final wagon. And this one is a Spatenbrau beer wagon. It's number 6261. Now Spatenbrau get a lot of beer wagons modelled for them, so they're quite a lucky brewery in that respect. This one has got a lot of printing all over it, and it's probably the most intricate design out of all the logos that we've seen on these wagons today. It has been done very well. The printing is very clear and precise on this model. It's moulded in white and it has the silver roof. So here are all the wagons out of their boxes, and each one has an interesting design on it. They're all the same model, it's just the printing and the colours that are different. So this could make an interesting train behind a locomotive, but there are some limitations here. I don't think any of these wagons are prototypical, and also they're not highly detailed either. So if you're serious about model railways, I don't think these are the wagons for you. Where these wagons do score is their bright colours and their appeal of the logos on them. And therefore I think these appeal to somebody of a younger generation, somebody who's just starting out. Maybe you can't afford those expensive high detailed models, or you just don't want them because they might get broken or something like that. These ones would be great to start out with, and they have a lot of interest and eye-catching graphics on them, and also because they're all different colours it adds some variety as well. From what we've seen today, my favourite one is the Spatenbrau one. It's got the most graphics on it, it looks really cool, and it's very bright and vibrant. But the Coca-Cola one certainly has a lot of appeal as well. It's very distinct. There's no denying that that is a Coca-Cola wagon. And it's probably collectible as well, not just for model railway enthusiasts, but for people who also collect Coca-Cola memorabilia. But each one has appeal in its own right, and I suspect there's probably many more wagons like this that have different logos on it as well if you wanted to add to your collection. I suspect their low price would make them easy to collect. They're not going to break the bank. They're not the best looking things in the world, but they're definitely worth checking out if you're just starting out with model railways. I'll put one of these on the scales so we can see how much it weighs. So this wagon weighs 35 grams, and I suspect the rest will weigh the same. So I hope you like having a look at these old Jouef wagons. They're a bit of fun, not to be taken seriously, and I think these are quite an interesting thing to have a look at, and also quite a nice thing to add to your collection as well. I'll put one of them on the turntable so you can see all the way around. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and you can subscribe for more. Don't forget to check out the video about the steam locomotive that I mentioned earlier. I'll put the link up on the screen just now. But that's it for today though. See you next time.